Hey guys, welcome back to the CCC. You can take a look at our ingredients and probably know that I am a super happy camper today.
And you will be drunk soon.
And I might be drunk soon.
A lot of booze going on here.
A lot of booze, but it is a lot of booze. It's a nice boozy cocktail. It's one of my lifestyle cocktails, not Jason's lifestyle cocktails.
Hold on, why do you say that?
Because you like them by the pool.
I don't like them by the pool. I just like acknowledging that there's certain drinks better by the pool. Some drinks are better in a bar. Some can go both ways. That was a silver platter. That was, as I'm saying, I'm like, this is going to be easy pickings.
Just my favorite type of cocktail tends to be these that are boozy, and I can already tell you I'm going to like this one.
Yeah, you don't like a lot of juice, a lot of syrup, which I don't either. You see an orange here. This is just a garnish. There is no juice in this.
I mean, this is just dark and boozy, and this is what I want to drink at night after dinner, sitting down on the couch. Maybe two of them.
Definitely be sitting down then. This drink is called the Pigeon Park. Which, do you know the short history of this guy?
I do not. I just know that my sister sent me this saying, I think you'll like this. So, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pretty easy one. I don't know where Pigeon Park is. I do know that this is based on, as always, a riff on something else, and it's a riff on a Vancouver cocktail, which is a riff on a Martinez, which out of those three, the Martinez being the most famous, although still not a super famous cocktail.
Well, the problem with the Martinez is it's Old Tom gin.
Well, it's gin, and it's actually two kinds of gin and Old Time gin, and sweet vermouth.
Oddly, Old Tom gin I feel like would be more popular because it's a little bit sweeter than regular gin. So I feel like it would be more popular, but it's one of those ingredients that people do not know today. It's not really in vogue.
Yeah, I'd say it's sort of like a under the radar kind of bartender cocktail.
Yeah, okay.
You know, like if you order a Martinez in a bar, at a good bar, proper bar, they're gonna look at you twice and go, wow, okay, this girl knows her stuff.
Yeah, but then you're gonna order and you're gonna be like, eh.
So the Vancouver cocktail, which I'm not as familiar with, which was a riff on the Martinez, subbed in Benedictine for what the Martinez has as maraschino.
Interesting. I guess I find the Benedictine much sweeter.
Less, what's the word? It's less on the nose, right? Like maraschino, I smell before I taste, right? Benedictine, I think, sort of is a kind of a good binder, kind of blends with everything.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely, yeah. This guy sort of rounds out everything. He's like I like that binder. I like that. He's like a nail file. He just, smooths out all the edges for you.
Okay. But what's interesting about this one is, well, obviously we've got mezcal, which is why Ricey, it was an easy one for Ricey, but mezcal instead of gin. But then they also added in pimps to add some herby to kind of go with the smoky from the mezcal. Sweet, but also herby. Almost
fruity. I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around Pims so much.
Pims is unique, and I think we both talked about this. Like, one reason I'm excited about this drink is, other than a Pims cup, I don't often use Pims. So
forever.
Right, and I do think it is if you have your core basics. I don't think it's a core basic of a bar, but I think it's somewhere in between the core basics and like the really obscure.
Yes.
And I think it's a nice to have.
It's used, but it's used in one cocktail.
Well, one very approachable, very well liked cocktail. So it is. I think it is worth having. It's not very expensive. It's easy to find. So this may be a way to use it in a more boozy fashion. So yeah, I'm excited about this guy.
This makes the Pims cup more approachable for me.
This is Ricey's Pims cup.
The other interesting thing that we're not talking about at all is the fact that we've got a smoky scotch over on the other side because we're going to use it as a rinse. So usually we use absinthe as a rinse or vermouth as a rinse in like a martini. So this is probably the first time we're going to use a scotch that's like the most expensive rinse we've ever done. So yeah, if you have a smoky scotch, this is This recipe actually calls for a smokier one. So you've got an Oban. Okay. I've got a Lagavulin that's a lot smokier.
Yeah, I don't have super smoky, some super peaty scotches. And I frankly don't do a lot of scotch. So that's another reason why I like this cocktail is because it's, that's the one, I'd say the one spirit that I still am not quite in love with yet. We just did a drink recently that had some scotch in it, Famous Grouse scotch. It was part of actually a very sweet cocktail, but so I'm trying to get my feet wet with scotch still, but so a rinse will do. I'm
a big scotch fan. If you have an Islay scotch laying around, it looks like Islay, I-S-L-A-Y. It's pronounced Islay, but it's a region, and all the scotches from that region tend to be smoky. So there's my very fast scotch PSA. Let's make it. Always loving a stirred cocktail. So start with your mixing glass and 1.5 ounces of mezcal. You probably should have rinsed first.
Now, I will say, I don't know if you agree with me on this or not. When you're drinking a martini, people like martinis pretty cold, sometimes very, very cold. So when I do a rinse, I rinse it with ice and I let that glass sit there. So it's kind of a dual purpose. It's chilling, it's creating the rinse. And this one, I think we both feel that this is not a drink you necessarily want cold. We are going to stir it with some ice, but we don't need to pre-chill. So I'm actually just going to pour some scotch in here. Just a little bit. I really want to coat the glass, the bottom, and then just kind of work it around the glass. Just so let it sit. Do you agree about the ice?
Yeah, I do. But I want it to coat, all the sides, not just the bottom.
Yeah. Your glass is certainly more conducive for that.
Yeah, I think that's why I chose this glass. Although, actually, that glass is easy to read.
This one's going to kind of retain the nose better, I think.
Yeah, it is going to retain the nose. Actually, your glass may be really good. You know what else this may be really great in?
A wine glass, like the Brave.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? Snifter?
Nothing keeps a nose quite like a snifter. Okay, anyway, I've already committed. Okay, back to our drink. We did 1.5 ounces of mezcal, and now let's do 3/4 sweet vermouth. I think it calls for punti meth.
Which I do not have. I have Coqui Torino. What do you have?
I've got Carpano Antica formula.
You fancy.
I'm very fancy. Yeah, I was trying. I'm like, maybe if I get the fancy one, I'll like it more.
Yeah, no, that's my desert island vermouth. If I have to take a vermouth, I'm not a huge vermouth fan. For Negronis, Boulevardiers, that's the best one.
That's the gold standard in vermouths, but it's by and large the most expensive one also. But it does come in tiny ricey-sized bottles. So, okay, 1/2 ounce of Pimm's and 1/4 Benedictine to soften it up a little bit. 2 dashes Ango. Okay, let's get ice and stir it. I wish I had bigger ice to stir this.
It just means you need to stir quick and get it out. That's a good point for those of you out there, guys. I would say, this is where even just your ice from your fridge, where it's not necessarily pretty ice, but it's big, will work. If you have a large rock that maybe isn't as pretty enough to make it to one of your cocktails, but you don't want to throw it away, just be a good time to use it. If you are rinsing and still leaving it in, now's the time to pour it out.
And straight.
Time to get fancy with the orange.
Very fancy on the orange because we are going to light this shit on fire. We're going to just use our Y peeler with an orange, try to get a nice orange peel. Not as good as Jason because he's so good at this.
I think a lot of you guys have heard us say this before, the ugliest, sort of nubbiest citrus you can get, the better for creating that oil.
Yeah, mine's a little old, I think, for oil. So once the oil is sort of out there on the skin, you can light it on fire. You may see a couple of sparks if you get the oil. That's good.
And on this drink, it actually does not call for leaving the peel in there. It's really just to create a little extra scent. I think it plays nicely off of you can leave it on there, but I think the smoke and fire from the orange plays nicely off of the scotch and the mezcal. This creates again, this is a very complex drink. There's not a whole lot of simple ingredients here. There's a lot of different things that work.
Yes. Makes me so happy.
I'm gonna have a sip of this now, so you're gonna have to hold your horses.
Okay, I'll taste it.
Okay, that's delicious.
So
Actually, we're gonna play a game. Now this game's tricky on Zoom because we can't say the same thing at the same time. So I'm gonna count to 3. I'm gonna say what comes to mind when I taste this, first word or two. Right after I speak, you speak, and that's as close as we can get to saying at the same time, but it'll create a nice objective answer.
okay.
Well, we can't say at the same time, otherwise it'll whatever. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Surprisingly smooth.
Yum.
I was expecting, as much as there is going on here, I was expecting that to be a little rougher going down. And I really feel like, I think it's because each one is pretty complex, they kind of balance each other out. Actually, that's my new word, is balanced. I think that's a better description.
I'm sticking with yum.
Well, you probably had more confidence going into this, but I didn't.
What?
I thought it could be good.
Yes, please. Come to mama.
Is that her new name?
That's my new name for this cocktail. Come to mama.
It's a good late night staple.
It's delicious.
Guys, have a great week.
Good week, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Jason.